Just be confident. Trust yourself, or you've got this. You've probably heard these, and you've maybe said them before a show to yourself or a teammate, and it's well-intentioned, right? In all these cases, but they also don't work for a lot of people, and there's actually a reason for that. During the 2026 Olympics, Eileen Gu said something that really stuck in my brain because it was true for me as well. She said, "I'm an evidence person, not an affirmations person." She explained that her confidence before a competition comes from the specific preparation that she's done. And that's the hours of training and the technical breakdowns, all of those repetitions, those reps. Her brain trusts the archive of what she's actually done, and that's what she draws on under pressure. And she has a lot of pressure on the world stage. That distinction between evidence and affirmations is really worth paying attention to as an improviser. So an affirmation, this is a statement that you repeat to yourself and just kind of hope that it comes true. Like, I'm a good improviser. I belong on this stage or in this set or on this team. These can feel good in the moment. And for some people, that works fine. That might be enough. But the problem, for at least some of us, is that affirmations or manifestations, these are belief-based activities. Like if you have a rough scene, for example, the scene just falls apart, that affirmation that you said before the scene gets kind of shaky because the evidence just contradicted the thing that you said. You told yourself, "I'm a good improviser." And then that scene flopped. Or you couldn't find the game and you changed the scene on your scene partner and everyone was confused. Now the affirmation that you just said feels like a lie and your confidence might drop even further than if you'd never said that thing in the first place. Evidence-based confidence works differently. So instead of telling yourself that you're good, you're looking at the actual things that you've actually done. So you're saying things instead like, "I've run this living room opening 12 times this week, and I really know living room openings. I've practiced initiation drills for the past month in front of my cat, Dr. Crepes, and I'm really fast at them now." So these are specific and they're evidence that you can actually verify. You know you've done that. You've drilled the thing. You've timed yourself. You know you've gotten faster. So a bad scene or a bad initiation or whatever doesn't erase that thing because they've already happened and you have the concrete evidence of those things. Most improv confidence advice, it falls into the affirmation category a lot. Like we've all probably heard there's no mistakes in improv. We've probably heard those affirmations that I said at the top of the episode. I mean, even something like "I got your back" kind of falls into this in a lot of ways because we might intend to have the back at all times, but that might not happen at some point. And these are useful tools, useful philosophies for how to treat your scene partners and how to be a good person and stuff, but they're less useful as internal confidence. They're less useful strategies, and that's because they're kind of vague. So evidence-based confidence in improv means keeping a specific and very honest account of the things that you've worked on and the things that you've improved at. So it means being able to just say, like before a show, "I know I can do these initiations. I can initiate these scenes because I've done it a lot this week." And you can insert the evidence for you for whatever skill that you said in that sentence. And that means if something goes sideways in a scene, for example, your brain can fall back on that archive after the scene or the set instead of like scrambling for a positive thought that you might not believe after you say it to yourself. So this also changes how you practice improv, how you take those classes. Because if your confidence is going to come from the evidence, then practice, all those reps, become the process of building up that archive. So every rep, every exercise, every scene, even those shows adds to this archive. So instead of practicing just to get confident, You're practicing to accumulate this proof that you can handle certain specific situations in improv. Will Hines writes about this in one of his books. I can't remember which one, but it's one of them. They're all good. This idea that even in really bad scenes, you can find evidence of things that went well. For example, you agreed on the base reality. Good work, team. You avoided conflict. You didn't yell at each other. You didn't fall off the stage. That last one might be mine. But training yourself to see the good in what you've actually done is an essential tool. It's so important for getting better. And it's also an emotional survival skill after those really bad shows. And I like this framing a lot. Let's talk about neurodivergent brains and the nervous system. So for brains that are analytical and pattern driven or wired to really detect those inconsistencies, affirmations can actually increase our anxiety. If your brain knows that the affirmation that you just said to yourself is not backed by any evidence, it flags it. It throws up that great big red flag. And you end up arguing with yourself instead of just settling into the place that you're at. So this is common in autistic and ADHD brains. Our bullshit detector is strong. So telling yourself, I got this, when your brain can list 14 concrete reasons that you might not got this feels dishonest. And that dishonesty creates more tension at the time that you really don't need a lot of tension in your life. We don't need that tension when our goal is to get out of our heads and leave all of that tension behind, backstage, somewhere else. Evidence gives the analytical brain something real to hold on to. And I got this. It does not land for our kind of brains. It never has. I've run this exercise 8 times, and my initiations to my cat, Dr. Crepes, at least, are faster than they were a month ago. This gives your pattern matching brain something to verify. It checks out. And the nervous system, therefore, can settle down a little bit because the information is consistent, is correct, and it's valid. This also connects to how you handle a bad show. If your confidence was affirmation-based, a bad show feels like the whole structure, your whole life, everything just collapsed. If your confidence was evidence-based, a bad show is just one data point. You can analyze what went wrong specifically, and you can add it to that evidence for the next time. Also, if you have a neurodivergent brain or you're on an improv team and you have any kind of brain, I have an episode on the podcast only that talks about working together on a team with all different types of brain points. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out. It's not on YouTube. The goal of this week's exercises is to practice identifying evidence of competence in real time, and then it turns it into a habit. That's nice. Building a habit of collecting evidence instead of waiting for a feeling of confidence to just kind of show up. This can really help your improv practice over time. So for multiple players in a scene, this one is called Cheer Squad or the Zooks. Your choice. You can choose the name. 2 layers up. And it helps for this one to have a base reality or some sort of premise set up in advance, because that's really going to help player 1. Player 1 is going to be the cheer squad for this scene. In character. Player 1's in character. They are going to note everything that player 2 does really well in improv. It's going to break the fourth wall on purpose. So this isn't something you're actually going to do for a show. For example, if player 2, who's doing the normal scene, sets the game, player 1 is going to say, "Wow, great game move, you." Or if player 2 gets vulnerable and sheds a tear, player 1's going to say, "So much emotion, well done." Okay, so you get the picture. All right, another thing you can do, this is kind of like a warm-up, and probably a lot of you have done this one. You're going to stand in a circle Everybody that's participating in the practice of the class stands in a circle. Circle is going to go around person to person. You're going to turn to the person on your right. You're going to tell them something that you think they do so good in improv. Then the circle's going to swap around. You do it to the person on your other side. So everyone gets 2 compliments. 2 boosts. Then you go around the circle one last time, and everyone's going to say something that they think they themselves do good at improv. They can borrow something that they heard, but try to think of something new that you think that you do well. Solo exercise. You want to consciously replay concrete moments of success because the brain remembers improv as something that you love to do because you have the talent for it if you replay these positive moments. Our brains tend to always go to the negative stuff. Like we're replaying all the mistakes that we've done in a scene, all the things that we messed up, all the things that we wanted to do differently. And that kind of tricks our brains into thinking that we're really bad at improv, this thing that we love. So retraining the brain to think about these successes can really help us in our practices. So after every practice session or show or solo exercise that you do, write down a few specific things that you did well. Keep it really factual, really detail oriented. And over time, this is going to become that archive that Eileen Gu described. So before a show, you can read through it, you can go through that archive, and your brain is going to have something really concrete to draw on all about all those things that you're really good at. Now you can do this on a piece of paper, in your phone. You can also use a PDF that I have on Improv Update. You get it when you sign up for the newsletter. It's also linked at the bottom of every newsletter if you already get it. And that PDF is designed for post-workshop memories. You're going to write down the things that you've learned and the things that you want to work on and the things that you did really well. So that's all that I've got. I'm deHaan. This is your Improv Brain. You can find out more at improvupdate.com. Bye for now. Now let's look.